In this tutorial, we will configure Visual Studio Code to use the GCC compiler and GDB debugger on Ubuntu in the Windows subsystem for Linux. We call it WSL. First, we're gonna install GCC compiler on your Windows system, and then install and set up the Visual Studio Code. Finally, we're gonna install the Windows subsystem for Linux, and then set up the VS Code to use this WSL. First, let's talk about installing the GCC compiler. One of the best GCC compiler is the min-gw. It means the minimalist GNU for Windows. As of now, the latest update is July 2018, and here is the link for download. The official min-gw supports 32-bit, and 64-bit compiler is supported by other open community. Here is one more option for 64-bit GCC compiler. The name is tdm-gcc. In this video, I will use tdm-gcc for 64-bit min-gw compiler. tdm-gcc is a compiler suite for Windows that combines the most recent stable release of GCC compiler and open source min-gw runtime APIs. Now I will show the steps to install the tdm-gcc. First, I'm going to Google the tdm-gcc, and the first link is for the official tdm-gcc website. Let's click the first one. The current latest release is 9.2.0. Let's click the link to download. In this download website, we will see the three different options for the tdm-gcc installer. The second one is for the 64-bit GCC compiler, and we will go with this one. After the completion of download, just double-click the file and run the install program. Let's click the first option, Create, and then we are going to install the 64-bit min-gw. It takes a couple of minutes, and then we are going to click the Next. Now we've successfully installed the tdm-gcc. I'm going to check it out in the Windows command line tool. Press the Windows key and R, and then type cmd. In this command line tool, just type the commands, the where g++ and g++ option version. In my case, I've also installed min-gw, thus there are two g++ commands in the list. If you just install the tdm-gcc, you can see only just one g++ command in the tdm-gcc directory. So I have two g++ commands, and I want to change the path variable so as to use the tdm-gcc as a default value. I'm going to run the system application for changing the path variable. In the taskbar, just type the path, and then we can find the control panel and then click it. Click the environment variables, and then click the path in the system variables, and then click edit. The last line must be the path for the tdm-gcc in this window. I'm going to move up this path and then make it placed in the front of min-gw. Let's run again the command line tool and then check the command g++ option version. Okay, great. Now tdm-gcc is successfully installed, and we can run C++ and G++ command in our Windows system. Now we are going to install the VS Code. Here is the official link to download the VS Code, and the installation process is straightforward. Just double-click the downloaded file, and you can see the installation directory. We will leave the default setting. It will take a couple of minutes. After the completion, we can start VS Code automatically. Here is the initial screen for VS Code. Now let's set up the VS Code and create our first example program. Here are prerequisites for C++ development in VS Code. We need 3 items. First is the VS Code, and second is C++ extension for VS Code, and the last thing is MinGW. We have already installed the VS Code and MinGW, hence we need to install the extension in VS Code. Let's go back to the VS Code. Click the package icon in the left sidebar, or just press Ctrl+Shift+X, and then type the C++ in the search text box. And then click the first result, which is the basic extension for C++ development provided by the Microsoft. Okay, now we are ready to develop the C++ program in VS Code. Let's go back to slide and try to make the first example program. When you run the VS Code for the first time, you can see the Open Folder menu in your File Explorer. Click the Open Folder, or just press Ctrl-K and O. After that, click the New File icon and edit the first example program in the editor window. I'm going to show it in my VS Code. Let's click the Explorer or press Ctrl-Shift-E and click the Open Folder. And for the first example program, I'm going to make a new folder with the name Hello World. And then click the new file icon, and I'm going to keep the file name helloworld.cpp. In editor window, I will make the first example program like that. Now we are going to compile and run this program. For the first time to compile the program in VS Code, we need to configure default build task. Click the menu, and then we are going to choose the G++ build active file. At this time, VS Code shows you default build file, which has the file name tasks.json. We don't need to change anything in this file, just to check out the command line for compile. In this case, we have already installed tdm-gcc, and its path is described at the command line in this file. Now click the menu to terminal and then run build task, or just Ctrl+Shift+B to compile this program. The compile message will be shown in the terminal window. If you don't have any error message, just click the plus button to use the terminal. In this terminal, we can find the executable file for this example program. In the command line, type helloworld.exe and then run this program. Perfect! Now we are ready to develop the C++ program in VS Code. Now we're gonna show how to use WSL in VS Code. WSL is a Windows subsystem for Linux. We're gonna configure VS Code to use the GCC and GDB in WSL. First, we need to install WSL in our Windows system. Let's take a look details about WSL. We're going to install WSL, the Windows subsystem for Linux. Here is the official link. You can get more detailed information in this link. Let's take a look details to install WSL. First, we need to open PowerShell and enable an option by typing the command dism. The command dism is one of the system management commands which can be used to service and prepare Windows image. Press the Windows key, type PowerShell, and then choose Run as Administrator. In the PowerShell window, type the dism command with the option like that. Step 2 is optional. If you want to upgrade to WSL2, type the dism command again with the upgrade option. And then open the Microsoft Store and select your favorite Linux distribution. If you don't have any particular choice, I recommend to reinstall Ubuntu. And now run the Ubuntu. When you run Ubuntu first, you need to make a new user account and password. Now we are ready to enjoy the Linux as a subsystem in Windows. We can use all Linux commands in this bash shell Windows. Okay, now we have WSL in our Windows system. We're gonna configure some Linux environments and install some packages in VS Code to use the WSL. Here's prerequisite to use WSL in VS Code. We need to install VS Code and a package, remote WSL extension in VS Code, and WSL. We already installed VS Code and WSL, hence we have to install only the package WSL extension. Before installing the package, we need to set up and update the Linux command. First, in order to open the bash shell, type the Ubuntu in the Windows taskbar, and then type the sudo apt-get update. It will take a couple of minutes to update your package list. After that, run sudo again to install GNU tools and GDB debugger with the following commands. And then run command where is G++ and where is GDB to verify the installation. Okay, now it's time to install remote WSL extension. This extension is one of the essential packages in VS Code. In VS Code window, click the package or press Ctrl+Shift+X. In the search box, type the WSL. You can see the remote WSL package and click the install button. And then go back to the Open Bash Shell window. Make one project folder for sample program and run VS Code again. Just type code dot. You can run VS Code with this folder. Now the VS Code is invoked with your folder in the Linux subsystem. In your title bar, the File Explorer shows that the VS Code is now running on your Linux file system. Now let's make a new source file. Click the new file icon and then make the sample program like that. Once you finish editing the source file, we need to install one more package. Click the package, find the C++ extension in WSL Ubuntu and install it. I'm gonna show again in VS Code window. Add a new source file. The file name is helloworld.cpp. Edit the sample program like that. And click the package and find the C++. Install C++ extension in WSL Ubuntu and rewrite the VS Code. Now build the sample program. Choose the menu, the terminal, and configure default build task. At this time, we don't need to edit the file. Just check out the command line in the file. In this file, the G++ command is denoted by the usr under bin under gcc. It means that we are using the G++ command in the Linux directory rather than a Windows folder. Now press Ctrl+Shift+B or choose the menu item Run Build Task to run your program. Click the terminal and type /helloworld. Your program will be executed and print the message. I'm gonna show again in VS Code. Choose the menu item Run Build Task. And here you can see the compile message. If you don't have any error message, you can run your build program. The executable file name is the same as your source file without extension. In this case, the source file name is helloworld.cpp Thus, the executable file name is hello world. Just type ./hello world, and now we can run this program. Okay, I showed the usage of WSL in VS Code. Normally, the VS Code uses the local window file system. In this video, I showed how to use the Linux file system in the VS Code. If we use WSL in VS Code, we can develop the Linux-based application.